you only know me from my video work, then you might not know that I'm the reviews editor for Destructoid.com. That means I'm basically in charge of all the reviews that come and go on the site. It's one of the best jobs in the world. You know, I get to play video games, and then I get to tell people on the internet, who I don't even know, what I think about those games, and someone thinks my opinion's worth money, which is absurd and ridiculous, but awesome at the same time. Now, I want you to know that because I don't want it to look like I'm complaining about having one of the most awesome jobs that have ever been had. But there are some people that want to make that job bad. I am, of course, talking about certain individuals who, for the purposes of this conversation, we'll call them nut fuckers, who get very, very upset because I happen to have an opinion of a game that is different from their opinion and the majority's opinion. A lot of these people will look at Metacritic, and trust me, they care about Metacritic a lot more than game reviewers do. And they look at these scores and they see if your score happens to be different from someone else's score, they get really upset. Because apparently, according to them, everyone has to be exactly the fucking same. All review scores must be identical, and we must all be mindless automatons who live to produce just mediocre grey sludge in terms of our reviews. And I don't get it. I don't get this lack of individuality that some people want, especially in America, so-called land of the free. And I want to talk in particular about two reviews I wrote this past weekend. One was very negative, one was very positive. Both weren't the majority's opinion. One was Blacklight Tango Down, one was Singularity. I loved Singularity, I didn't like Tango Down. And people were upset in both cases because they weren't exactly the same as GameSpot or IGN or any of the other reviews on Metacritic who all agreed with each other, because apparently agreement is what a review is there for. We're here to justify your opinion, not share ours. First of all, let's look at what someone had to say about Tango Down.
What an absolutely ridiculous review! This game might fail to get over as a third-person shooter due to lots of other competition, but the game itself is definitely brilliant and fun to play. This is the first game I've really gotten into for a long time. I'm not easily pleased or easily fooled. This game's really enjoyable. The review should be redone instead of being the biased piece of shit that it is.
Okay, there's that word bias. That seems to be something that people love to trot out now, the word bias. And to me, it's very much like religious fundamentalists using the word theory when they're talking about evolution, because they don't know what the fuck the word means. Now, when you use the word bias, are you using it because you heard someone on N4G use it? Of course you are. And if you're using N4G as your basis of conversation, you're fucked, mate. No, the word bias is obviously personal preferences, and when you're doing a review, you have to use your personal preferences. You can't use someone else's personal preferences because you're not that person. Unless you're fucking Sam from fucking Quantum Leap, you cannot go into someone else's brain and write a review from their perspective. And if you use the word bias, I think, and this is just if I was in charge, people would not be allowed to use the word bias unless they took a special sanctioned test to prove that they know what the word bias means. And if they don't know what the word bias means and they can't demonstrate that they do and they use it, then by law, Christian Slater and Rutger Hauer is allowed to come to their house and beat the shit out of them. But I digress. Let's get positive and talk about Singularity, which I loved, and everyone hated me for it because I happened to do a positive review. Oh yeah, it's not just the negative ones that upset people. Let's see what this drooling mong fuck said about my review of Singularity, and indeed my reviews in general.
And you know what, I'm thinking you were getting paid to give games low scores, but now I know you're just being paid to give games inaccurate scores. Looks like I could come up with a list of the last 10 games you've reviewed, Jim, and you compare the scores you gave those games to the other scores on Metacritic, there is always a huge difference of about 3 or 4 points from the average. Look, I think this review is the best example of your reviewing process is so, well, bad. You don't give games scores, or written reviews for that matter, according to their merits. You give scores related to what you personally think about them.
Fucking what? I wrote the review from the perspective of someone who had an opinion of games and used his own opinion to tell you what he thought of a game. Whose opinion was I supposed to fucking use? The Pope's? Okay, you know what, fine. I acquiesce and you win. I will, from here forth, use an unobjective opinion. And in fact, I have hired, as reviews editor, a brand new reviewer to review games with a total lack of bias and a complete lack of subjective thought. Okay, do you want to meet him? Well, here he is. You may notice that I'm holding a banana. And that's because a banana can give you a completely objective and unbiased review. And do you know why? Because it's a fucking banana! Jesus fucking Christ. If you want all your reviewers to be fucking bananas, then just fucking create your own Tumblr blog and have bananas play Singularity all fucking day. And see how well you do. I'm sure you'll end up with the best Metacritic scores on Metacritic. Just that is your future.